Is there a warning klaxon? Here we go. Stand by. Is that it? Spoiler alert. We got asked for this, so it goes against the grain, but I'm now going to read out some emails which talk about
spoilers.
What happens in Star Wars.
Yeah. So if you don't want to know, stop listening now. Listen to Fortunately or
Mark
Brexit
Smith.
Cast or something.
Mark Smith. Mark and Simon. I was in the shower the other day and I audibly declared, where the hell did those Star Destroyers come from? Who built them? Have those people been on those things all this time? What have they done for food? Have they just been sat patiently waiting for the moment when they dramatically crack through the surface? I even said out loud, what? When it happened in the film. I then afterwards started to doubt myself. Had I had a sudden and poorly timed nap and missed Richard E. Grant delivering some valuable expositional dialogue? Had Abdominal Gleeson mentioned it? What was going on?
You know, well, firstly, that actually sounds like the argument from Clark's about who built the Death Star and were they still rebuilding it at the point that it got blown up. But it's also chimes with my feeling about a spaceship gets shot at, crash lands on a planet where there is no local auto parts thing, and somebody says, it'll take me a couple of days to fix it. And you think, from what? If you've blown a part up and it's broken, where are you going to get the spares?
Alex Brennan in Wiltshire. My thoughts, generally not happy. As an original trilogy nut, also fan of episodes 7 and 8. I think they really dropped the ball, put together a film based on a furious Reddit thread by people that hated The Last Jedi. It's all fan service. My main complaint, no stakes. C-3PO sacrifices himself with a memory wipe to save the galaxy, then 30 minutes later, his memory's restored. No stakes, no sacrifice. Too many deaths and reanimations, e.g. Chewie's dead. No, he's not. Yeah. Kylo's been killed by Rey. No, she's revived him. Rey's dead. No, she's revived by Kylo. Bringing back Palpatine was a big mistake. They had the space to do something new. The path was cleared by The Last Jedi, and they bottled it. Chris White. Now, Chris White, by the way,
Okay.
ExoMars spacecraft operations engineer.
No.
That's what it says here.
Wow.
Although Rise of Skywalker kept me entertained, or at least bamboozled during its runtime, thinking about it afterwards raises a lot of questions, such as, how did Palpatine survive his previous workplace injury and the subsequent destruction of said workplace? If he came back after that, how do we know he won't come back after this? Good point. Yep. Who exactly built all those Star Destroyers? Will planet-killing weaponry continue to get smaller until it becomes handheld and the next Han Solo can shoot first in a bar and commit planetary genocide? Why did Leia never give Chewie his medal? And why did he only get it after she died? Was Leia secretly a Wookiee racist? It's hard to assess this film in isolation when it's meant to be part of a trilogy, although I wonder if anyone told the writers that. The 3 films of this trilogy don't fit together at all, like one of those games where you draw a piece of a monster, fold the paper over, and the next child draws the next part without seeing the first. Mm-hmm. Then you unveil the complete thing at the end. It's a trilogy bodged together quicker than a repair to the Falcon, and it's a shame that the beloved franchise from far, far away was spoilt by an unnatural hunger to make some credits really, really soon. That's interesting.
Can I leap in?
Yes.
Okay, so since we're doing spoilers, so I absolutely agree with the stakes issue. My main problem with the film is twofold. Firstly, it is true the thing about it's not a trilogy. What we have is a sequel to Part 1, in which basically largely ignores all the interesting things that Last Jedi did. And the key one there is Rey from nowhere becomes Rey from somewhere. And I think that's a big mistake because we know for a fact that J.J. Abrams, when he was doing the original right with Lawrence Kasdan, they were projecting ahead to where the story may go, and they were clearly thinking that Rey had ancestry. And then when Rian Johnson wrote and directed Last Jedi, which I still think is far and away the best of the 3, he came up with this really, really interesting idea that she isn't. She's Rey from nowhere. That's the point. And that lovely thing at the end with the kid picking up the stick and which is so the whole thing is you don't have to be from somewhere. You can be Rey from nowhere and be really important. And then in 3, it's no, she is Rey from somewhere. She's Palpatine's, grand.
I think she was always going to be from somewhere in the end.
No, that I think that Last Jedi thought she wasn't. That's right. The second thing is, I absolutely agree about kill Chewbacca. No. So where did the second thing come from? You go. When it happened, I was really shocked. So, wow, they killed Chewbacca. And, oh no, they didn't. And there was I had a conversation with Jack Howard about this, and Jack Howard said that he and his friends were discussing it, and they all said Rian Johnson would have killed Chewbacca. And they're right, and that's the point. The greatest cop-out was wiping 3PO's brain, and then it's back again. I mean, the lack of conviction, that I thought was definitely... So while I enjoyed the film whilst it was playing out, those things were all to do with playing it safe and to undoing the radical things that Rian Johnson had done in Last Jedi.
This is a tough email from Kate Zilla Sharp, age 36 and 2/3. I will try and do it justice. Trusted church elders, flaky medium-term listener turned recent complete devotee, first-time scribe here. Star Wars, to my mind, is the greatest story ever told for similar sentimental reasons, and the new film is nothing short of profound and prophetic for me. I was born in 1983, and my earliest childhood memory is watching Star Wars at home with my dad, aged 5. As an only child and his daughter, my complete and immediate obsession with the films undoubtedly created a unique bond that other gender-appropriate pursuits such as dolls' houses and ponies might not have. I never got into dolls' houses and ponies as it happened, and spent my first 23 years until my dad's death in 2006 as his apprentice, cheering him on from the sideline of a rugby pitch, him cheering my sporting exploits, changing tyres on cars, drinking pints, and always, always loving Darth Vader above all. That's paragraph 1. Mm-hmm. Paragraph 2. My dad's passing left a chasm in my life that I have never found the words for. However, the complicated weave of the father, mother, son, daughter narrative that Star Wars, and in particular J.J. Abrams in Kylo Ren, has created is the closest I've come to articulating my feelings. Adam Driver's staggering performance played out my own blind anger at how I am from the life I imagine, how far I am from the life I imagined before my dad's death. The exhaustion of conflicting inner monologues that lives with me still, and ultimately the hope that the influence of my parents will prevail. I'm now going to take a mouthful of tea, excuse me. I've never saved a galaxy by chucking away a lightsaber, but... So you have to stay with me on this.
Yeah, it's fine.
What I like about this email from Kate is that she has throwaway comedy, like chucking away a lightsaber, and then lines like this. So I've never saved a galaxy by chucking away a lightsaber, but as my dad lay dying, the only word I managed to mumble through the tears was "Dad." His reply, "I know." So this is my thank you to Star Wars. To JJ, to the dark side, to my new obsession with Adam Driver, just thank you. Plot holes, Jar Jar Binks, and Ewan McGregor's English accent do not matter. In a saga this epic, Star Wars has been with me my entire life, and I could not be more grateful for it. Blimey, what a mess to make an email. So, what can you say?
Well, I mean, what a lovely email, and it just goes to sort of reaffirm that thing, that the role that films, and particularly film series, can play in people's lives goes so far beyond the mechanics of cinema itself. There is this famous saying that cinema is like a dream, and the reason it seems so real is because it mimics the shape of a dream. When you imagine something in your mind, the way in which you see it is very much like the way a film unspools, and sometimes films can become a thing which is almost more real than I don't mean you don't know the difference between fact and fiction. I mean their emotional impact is such that it can kind of bypass all the stuff about the Ewan McGregor's accent and the plot things. It doesn't matter. You kind of experience them on a fundamental level. And I think that what that email says, and it's beautifully written, as you say, the juxtaposition of the throwaway coming in and the rest of it, is that no matter how much people tell us that cinema's a dying art form and blah 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 blah, no, it isn't. it isn't because it serves a fundamental human need, which was expressed by Roger Ebert in the phrase. He said, "Cinema is a machine for producing empathy," and I think that's what it is at its best. And I think that's what that's about.
And finally, just before we're done with these spoilers, I just want to finish with this on a lighter note.
Okay.
From Chris Holt. I saw Frozen 2 and The Rise of Skywalker today. As they are the same film, I can review them at the same time.
Okay.
A young lady learning to harness her newfound mystical power must go on a quest that will not only save herself and everyone else, but also reveal the secrets in her lineage that have been buried for decades. Initially seeking to go on her quest alone, her close-knit group refuse to allow it and insist they will accompany her on her path, but ultimately she's forced to leave them behind and face her final test alone. How's it going so far?
You're very good.
That test proves almost too much. She does learn her true and disturbing heritage, that although her parents were lovely, a rather nasty grandfather has been the source of all the bother that's been going on for the years. Nice way of putting it. While she is, all that bother.
All that bother.
While she is able to make amends for the misdeeds of her ancestor, the girl is only able to save everyone else by sacrificing herself. Fortunately, the film is able to both have its cake and to eat that delicious cake. After delivering the emotional and dramatic gut punch of her death, she is quickly resurrected, so nobody is too sad for too long. A serviceable but unoriginal sequel with satisfying moments, some laughs and nostalgic musical cues, clearly made by committee to maximise financial return from a franchise that's already said all it ever needed to. Tinkety-tonk, down with committees. That's Chris Holt.
That's very good. That's very good.
Thank you for all the spoilers. Also, Lily, thank you very much for your email. And down with stress-induced insomnia, indeed. Mark, you've been fabulous.
So have you.
No, you've been particularly.
No, you've been better.
More fabulous than ever before.
Well, 2020,
10 more
10 more years. 10 more years.